In a realm of legends and conquest, the name of his family was synonymous with victory. For generations, they were the shield of the empire. His great-grandfather, a master strategist. His grandfather, a peerless duelist. His father, a conqueror of nations. And his 7 brothers, each a prodigy, a warrior of high prestige, blessed with immense aura and strength. They were the next chapter in a glorious legacy. And then, there was him. No innate talent, no immense aura. Where his brother's first steps shook the ground, his were silent. In a house where power was everything, he had none. They didn't call him by his name. They called him the stain on the family crest, the child who shouldn't have been born, a failure. He heard the whispers. He saw the disappointment in his father's eyes. He felt the scornful glances from his brothers. The world had already decided his story, but they made one fatal mistake. They expected him to cry. They expected him to run and hide from his shame. He did not. He made a choice. If he could not be a jewel in his family's crown, he would become a sharpened blade, forged in solitude and tempered in silence. He turned his back on the mighty estate, on the prized dojos, on the legacy that had no room for him. He walked into the deep, ancient forest with nothing but the clothes on his back and a single, simple sword. And there, he began. Not for them, not for glory, not for a name, but for himself. While his brothers trained with the finest masters, he trained with the elements. His dojo was the muddy earth. His opponents were the ancient trees. His master was his own relentless will. Day after day, season after season, year after year, he would strike a single tree 10,000 times until his hands were raw and bloody, until the calluses themselves became his gloves. He practiced his forms in the driving rain until his movements were unfazed by any storm. He meditated in the dead of winter, his breath a cloud in the freezing air, learning to control the fire within. He wasn't learning to fight. He was learning to see, to hear, to feel. He could hear the heartbeat of a rabbit 50 paces away. He could sense the shift in the wind before a leaf fell. He could move without sound, his presence fading into the world around him. He lived as part of the wild, and the wild sharpened him. He didn't know it. He couldn't see it. But with every drop of sweat, every aching muscle, every silent dawn, he was changing. The weakness was being burned away, replaced by something pure, something absolute. The boy who was nothing was becoming everything. And then the day came. A threat from the ancient dark, a beast of shadow and malice that the Empire's armies could not stop. It swept through the countryside, and even the famed warriors of his family, his mighty brothers, were called to face it. We saw them go, clad in their glorious armor, their auras blazing like beacons. We saw them return, broken, defeated. The beast was marching toward the capital, and there was no one left to stand in its way. Despair fell like a shroud. The creature stood at the city gates, a monument of terror. It raised its claw to deliver the final crushing blow to the defeated generals, to his own brothers. And in that moment of absolute silence before the end, a single, perfect leaf detached from a branch and drifted slowly between the beast and its prey. A blur, too fast to comprehend. It wasn't a flash of light. It wasn't an explosion of energy. It was simply a shift, a presence that hadn't been there a heartbeat before. The beast froze, its claw suspended in mid-air. And there he stood, between the monster and his family. His clothes were simple, worn, his sword plain and unadorned. He didn't radiate power. He was calm, still, like the deep forest. He slowly sheathed his sword. Scritch. Click. The sound of the blade settling into its sheath was the only sound in the world, and in its wake, the monstrous creature split cleanly in two, dissolving into nothing but mist. He didn't look at his victory. He didn't look at his stunned, speechless brothers. He simply turned, and he began to walk back towards his forest without a single word. It was only then that they saw it, truly saw him. Not the failure, not the stain, but the master. The unstoppable force they had been too blind to see. He had never needed their approval. He had only ever needed to become himself. And so the legend was rewritten, not by a general, but by the son they forgot. The boy who vanished into the trees and returned unstoppable.